Hello everyone, Johnny Minder here, and today we are continuing to learn Japanese with Zelda II, The Adventure of Link. Last time we left Rauru Town. We went and did the first palace, temple, shrine, and so on in Japanese. Palace is the English name, the Parappa Palace. And last we arrived and went around a new town, Ruto Town. We got some items by doing all these. The major ones are the candle in the palace, the goddess statue in the Overworld, which was actually required then in Ruto Town to get a new spell. And by the way, I finally checked how to use them. So as we actually straight up need it today. And yes, so we leave Ruto Town and we'll see what we have to do from there. And yeah, without further ado, let's start. Again, we'll load our save. And yeah, as you can see, we are already outside of Ruto Town. This is Ruto Town. And yeah, so we can go south now. As actually one of the tips in town told us about it. Oh boy, yeah. Fortunately, let's actually start back from the start here and be more careful this time. Yeah, I have to be careful about all these rocks. Yeah, now better. Well, I got still hit there, but I would like to keep some health. Don't want to use the spells. Well, actually, I could use one here. And yes, so I can actually show it. Yeah, we choose the spell in the menu. In our case, we'll choose a shield for now. Hopefully, I have enough magic for jump, which we need. It's the one required here. Yeah, you choose it. And then you have to close the menu and press select to use it. And yeah, so that's how you use it. And yeah, nice. It's nice that we use the shield since we have a gorilla here. But I should still be more careful here. Okay, but yeah, we did it. Okay, we have this. So let me here. Yeah, not. Let's go back to the start of the room at least. Yeah, let's not take as many hits from these enemies as soon as I say it. Yeah, you have to wait and be careful. No, actually, that was worse. Yeah, the strategy is this one. I'd rather straight up avoid, but yeah, unfortunately, it's easier said than done. Yeah, you either have to be really quick, especially with the ones on the ground. Oh boy. Yeah, no, let's actually go back here. Yeah, let's try to be more careful in general. Okay, like this. Yeah, as you can see, I'm not hesitating using save state. Not save states, rewind, because with first we want to make it faster to as the show must go on, and yeah, of course we want to get to continue the game and also get to the parts where Japanese writings are. But also considering that you get what happens, you don't want to get a game over in this game. Korea with these boomerangs are really annoying, especially with the different heights. These low ones are the absolute worst. Yeah, even with all that, turning around to parry one, then we get hit by another one. But yeah, this was actually perfect as soon as we do that. Okay. Yeah, with that we can continue. We're all on health, but we might be able to do it. And yeah, we see actually these enemies. Let's be careful here. Yeah, let's defeat one there. Yeah, those aren't regular bats. They transform, as we have just seen, when they get close to the ground. So yeah, we have to be careful about them. Well, also about regular bats, like in this case, but even more so the other ones. Okay, perfect. And yeah, we're getting some health. And yeah, as you can, health experience. And yeah, as you can see here, we have a cliff. And with our regular jump, we can't climb it. And yeah, here we need the jump spell, which we got in Ruto Town. So yeah, let's choose it. And yeah, with that, we can make the jump. And yeah, with that we went through that oh boy, yeah, you have to be careful. First, notice how you are slower here in the overworld. Ah, yeah, we have this link icon, which is I think an extra continue, so nice in case we need it. And yeah, still general nice to have anyway, and so we also got to show it. But yeah, after this, let me quickly check. I think we have to go after that to that NPC's house. We'll see in a second. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Next we have that. As usual, I'm checking the map, technically also guide, but yeah, mostly the map. Yeah, unfortunately, as you can see, the swamp is also in the in this area. Oh boy. Yeah, I'd rather go in a forest one. Of course, only to a certain extent with all these enemies. Let's be more careful. Yeah. Yeah. We have the spiders that... oh boy, yeah, we have those spiders that are new. Way more annoying. Yeah, actually, let's to avoid as soon as I say it, then I jump into get into another one. Yeah, we have to really defeat one. These moblins are really annoying. Okay. Okay, the good news is that they give us experience, unlike the older ones. And no, we don't want that. We want to go in a certain spot here. Unfortunately not marked exactly, so it's not easy. Yeah, as you can see here we even have birds, and yeah, avoid all this nonsense. Let me quickly check the map. Okay, yeah, it's slightly further to the left, as I expected. I'm not sure if I think it might be this spot, but we have these enemies first. Oh boy. With so little life, it's not the best. Okay, life. Let me test a thing. I think that I might get the life back even if I get attack. Nope. Okay, yeah. No, it was actually if you choose life. So yeah, we'll do that. If you want to survive here. Yeah, we got really lucky that we got a level up there. Where the... I guess it might be to the right then. Nope. Okay, yeah, we simply got unlucky. Yeah, this is loading screen and this is the house. Yeah, here's the house that I mentioned. So we only got unlucky there with enemies spawning. Yeah, we'll enter the house. And yeah, here we have our NPC. That says, first and foremost, ore no na wa Bagu da. And yeah, this is the infamous NPC that I mentioned last time. Okay. Because it's called in, as we'll see soon enough, Bagu in technically also in Japanese, but also in English. But yeah, let's go in order. First and foremost, we have ore. We have seen it last time. It's one of the first person singular pronouns, so I. This one, I think unaccented. Yes, unaccented. Is a male term or language. And also rough or arrogant, according to the dictionary. Yeah, usually that's the case, so be careful about when you shouldn't use it. You should be careful when you use it. But yeah, you mostly hear it in video games, anime, manga, and so on. Then we have the possessive particle no. And so of me, and so my. Then we have na. Na, which means name. Unaccented. More specifically, more strictly, also given name, but yeah, also name in general. We have seen that there exists also namae, which has the same meanings. Name, or more strictly given name. We simply as na plus adds mae to make a compound, and so longer, and so it's less difficult to mistake it for something else. But yeah, in this case it uses only na, but yeah, you can technically use it more often than not. You'll hear namae. After that, we have the topic particle wa, written as ha. And so, as for my name. And then we have Bagu. Yeah, Bagu, as mentioned. But actually, it's a reference, well, it's the English term bug, in the sense of software bug. And yeah, as we'll see, this is Error's brother. We met Error last time, and yeah, it's a joke. We have Error and Bug, but yeah, they didn't recognize it in when they translated it, and yeah, so they kept Bug as Bagu. So the literal transliteration of the Japanese name, but yeah, it's from actually English Bug. As for its accent, I think it's accented, yes, it's accented on the first syllable, so just like in English. And last but not least, we have the copula da, and so in plain speech. As for my name, it implied, it is Bug. And yeah, then after that, he says, Watashi ba no otoko ni kono tegami o misero. Yeah, first and foremost, we have Watashi ba. Yeah, you might think at first that we have a Watashi, but yeah, as in the actually the most common first person singular pronoun, but yeah, no. One, it doesn't make sense considering that we have ore above. Yeah. You wouldn't switch pronoun that way. Usually you don't do that. And yeah, so it's actually watashi with ba. And so actually a compound, a noun. From watashi, which in this case actually comes from the verb watasu, unaccented. It means to ferry across, for example, a river, to carry across, to traverse also. But keep in mind that this is the transitive form of the verb. The intransitive one is wataru, hopefully also unaccented. And yeah, that one is the one you'll hear more often, as it means to cross over, to go across. Yeah, so more often than not, you hear about someone crossing over, going across, of course, more than carrying, ferrying over something, ferrying across, and so on. Oh yeah, let me quickly check the accent. Okay, yeah, also unaccented, as expected. Oops. Let me quickly... Okay. By the way, funny enough, by extension, wataru also can mean to extend, to cover, to range, to span. Yeah, makes sense considering that its fundamental meaning is to cross over, to go across. Although technically with different kanji, even though usually in the extended meaning it's written with kana alone, as also says the dictionary, while there is a kanji for wataru in a original and physical sense. And yeah, here we have watasu. It's a notice again we have in this case we have one in aru, the intransitive one, and the other one in asu. But yeah, most likely in this case, let's say the one in asu is a classical form of the causative, and so literally to make something, in this case crossover, go across, and yeah, that's why we get the meaning to ferry across, to carry across, and so on. Although it's wataru is also suspiciously in aru and could be a classical form of the passive, but yeah, honestly I'd focus in this case, the safer option is that watasu is the causative. Might be that actually both come from an original verb not used nowadays in Japanese, and so they have they actually are both a causative and a passive form, of course classical, because they don't follow the rules used nowadays for causative and passive verbs, or at least not fully, as we have seen. But yeah, watasu and also wataru, u verb, godan verb, so we can change the u into i to make the continuative form. In this case, simply to, well, can be used, of course, as usual, on its own as the corresponding noun, as in ferry, crossing, or a ferry implied boat, by extension also delivery. Delivery as a suffix according to the dictionary. But yeah, in this case, simply to actually attach, because it's part of a compound, and so to attach the second part, which is ba, which we've actually seen before in previous series, and actually even studied its kanji. Yeah, this is the ba for place, spot, space, the strictly Japanese reading. The Chinese one is jo, as a reminder. Ba on its own unaccented. Jo actually also on its own can be used technically accented, that one. Jo, u, so long o. And yeah, it's actually a syllable, so yeah, when it's accented on the first mora, so at the very beginning, that it's high, low technically. Jo. But yeah. So yeah, literally it's ferry, place, spot, space. And yeah, so the meaning of watashi ba, which is, by the way, unaccented, so keep that in mind, technically makes sense since both words are unaccented, so yeah. It's easy to remember it. We don't have rules of compounds applying in this case. But yeah, watashi ba, yeah, means ferry, landing, or a point of departure or arrival for ferries. Yeah, ferry landing, I'd say. Literally ferry spot. Or even better, ferrying spot. Yeah, also ferry spot. Then we have the possessive particle After that, we have otoko, which means man. Should be on its own accented on the last syllable. We'll quickly check. And it is, yes. By the way, the opposite, woman, is onna, accent on the last syllable also. So yeah, easy. Yeah, man, male. By extension, of course, simply as in fellow, guy, chap, bloke. So, funny enough, the dictionary says, but yeah, man, generic, is the fundamental meaning. Yes, the man of the ferry landing, the ferry spot. Then we have the particle ni, which in this case means to, as in doing something to, towards, to say, but not in the physical sense, in the movement sense, but doing something to a person. Yeah, in this case, to this man. As we see soon enough with the verb. Then after that we have kono. Again the usual ko, so, ado series. Ko goes to both the speaker and the listener. So far from the speaker, close to the listener. A far from both. Do, the interrogative. Ko, so, a usually unaccented. Do, accent on the first syllable. So actually on the do itself. With no, we have the demonstrative adjective. So yeah, this, followed by a noun, which in our case is tegami. We'll check its accent. I think maybe an accent on the last syllable, and we might have seen it before in a previous series. But yeah, it means letter. Let me quickly check. No, actually, sorry, unaccented. And so yeah, as a reminder, when used on their own, unaccented words and words accented on the last syllable sound the same. So yeah, that's why we got that confusion there. But yeah, be careful, because when you add a particle, like in this case, as we see soon enough, you have to keep the accent, and so unaccented words keep on being unaccented. Those accent on the last syllable, on the last more specifically in this case, then after those the particle is low, would be low. And yeah, we have tegami. Literally, we have te, which we've seen before. I think we have studied even its kanji. The one for ba we've seen in Kirby's Adventure, if I recall correctly, while the one for te, accented by the way, might still be in Kirby's Adventure, but otherwise it would be in the first Legend of Zelda. But yeah, if you are want to review them, or you missed them and want to check them out, you can find the exact parts and the kanji studied in those series in the description of their playlists. And also, by the way, for the kanji we studied in this very series at the start, I added that as well, the description of the playlist. But yeah, te, accented on its own, means hand. And by extension, a lot of meanings. But yeah, in our case, literally hand, or at most hand is as in hand writing. Because after that we have gami, actually kami. This one I'm sure is accented on its own on the last syllable. Yeah, kami. which means paper. So yeah, literally would be hand, more likely as in handwriting paper. And yes, so by, of course, with that you get the meaning letter. Also technically note, but yeah, letter is the fundamental meaning. And yeah, so be careful that despite the accents of the individual words, as a compound they are, it's unaccented tegami as we have seen. And by the way, as usual, notice that kami on its own with k, it becomes g, te, ga, mi, and so it gets voiced with the duck 10. Because, as we have seen, that often happens when the second word of the second part of the compound, especially with strictly Japanese words, even some Chinese ones, but yeah, more often than not strictly Japanese ones. And yeah, like in our case, kami is the strictly Japanese reading of the kanji for paper, as we'll see when we study it. Then after that we have a particle, as mentioned, the object particle, o, written as wo and pronounced as such in careful speech and also singing. Last but not least, we have the verb misero, which comes from the verb miru, which means to we're getting to see, to watch, to look at, and so on. Miru is a ru verb, it's done verb, so we can drop the ru and add se ru to make the causative form. Well, sorry. Technically, to make the causative form of ru verb, it's done verb, nowadays, you would need to add sa, se, ru. But yeah, this one, mi, se, ru, is, as we see also soon enough with the meaning that we have already seen, I think, this word in previous series, by the way. But yeah, notice that we have still se, ru, and yeah, it's actually a classical form of the causative. The meaning of miseru is to show, to display, and actually also to make something or someone look. In that sense, usually as in one, for example, oneself, but yeah, doesn't change. Yeah, literally to make something or someone look, both as in look in that sense and so appear, but yeah, actually as in make someone look, as in the sense if you show them something, then you make them look at it. And so yeah, you can see now why the verb for to show, to display, miseru, yeah, it's actually a causative form of miru. Miseru is also a ru verb, it's done verb, and by the way, also regular causatives in eru for godan verbs, u verb godan verbs, or sa, seru for ru verbs, it's done verbs, are ru verbs, it's done verbs, of their own. And yes, so with that we can actually change the U into O to make this form misero, which is the imperative in plain speech. As we have seen, actually, there's another form of the imperative for root verbs, Ichidan verbs, and also actually some irregular ones, like suru, to do, and kuru, to come. One which drops the ru usually and adds yo. By the way, this one we have seen the one in ro accent on the last syllable, so on the ro itself. The ones in yo accented before the yo usually, so on the second to last syllable. More better in this case. But yeah, the difference is that this is technically the spoken imperative, while the other one is the written one. But yeah, this is the one usually mostly used nowadays. The other one still shows up, but yeah, it's technically more formal. It's used in writing because of that. But yeah, this is the one you want to remember first and foremost, because yeah, technically it's the one you would use nowadays when speaking in plain speech. Although at first you shouldn't use plain speech. You should use polite forms, which technically is easier, but yeah. Yeah, so the meaning is show this letter to the man literally of the ferry place, the ferry spot, even more literally. Ferry landing, we have seen the actual translation. But yeah, ferry spot, ferry place, literally. And so in English, better the man at the ferry landing. Although technically in this case could be, as we see, might see actually in this very part, I think it's the one in charge of the ferry landing, and so in that sense it could be correct to say the man of the ferry landing also in English, or better, the ferry landing man. Yeah, by doing that you avoid any risk, and it might be even more correct. Yeah, so this is the meaning. And so yeah, we had to visit Bag before going there to this ferry landing, which we'll see is in the next town. And so yeah, it was actually required, and so yeah, we had better to do it now. We might still miss a dialogue due to this, like for the goddess statue, but oh well. Yeah, with that we can actually leave. Yeah, technically he gave us a letter, even though we don't have an inventory, unfortunately, in this game. Yeah, our start button is the spells, as we have seen. Well, we technically have an inventory, but it's dedicated to the items we actually use, like the candle, as you can see there. But yeah, with that we can leave. And by the way, we needed a candle also for the cave, I think, to remember that I might have mentioned last time. So yeah, you really wanted to get the candle from the first dungeon. Oh boy, yeah, we have another one of these. Oh boy, all these enemies. Let's leave this way. Not the best. I'd rather take the hit there. Okay, yeah, you... I think you have to be careful. It might be completely random. But yeah, actually we want now to cross the bridge. Oh boy, yeah, we have these... they look like skeletal fishes. Skeletal fish, I should say. Like the ones in Mario games, but yeah. This came first. Okay, yeah, we'll visit these first. Oh boy, yeah, we have these enemies again. Let's be... Yeah, maybe better not to crouch. You know what? First we'll use the shield. The shield spell, so that we get hit less here. Well, we get less damage. Okay, and I actually went the wrong way here. We want to go to the right, I think. Yeah, we have a bag of experience. Technically, there isn't more to the right here. I'll give still give... Yeah, we get actually a bonus bag. That one showed up only because we defeated that enemy and we got lucky. Oh boy, I was distracted for a moment there. That's actually... Oh boy. Okay, yeah, let's go to the right. And yeah, actually the town, as you can see, is here. Want to avoid all this nonsense if possible. Okay, actually, we got lucky. This one is actually a fairy, so we'll get it. Even though, as we'll see, we most likely will have a healing spot in town. But yeah, actually better for a reason, a certain reason. Yeah, so let's enter the town. We'll first and foremost check the sign, as usual. And yeah, here we get to see... I'll quickly check, by the way, a second, if we did everything, but I think so. I've seen the map and it mentioned only those. Yeah, the link doll, Bagu in English, but funny enough. We got the point bag, and yeah, so we entered the town. And yeah, as it says here, this is the Mizuno Machi. Then we have a space, Saria. From the pronunciation, you might have already guessed the name. And yeah, it's another reference, as we'll see soon enough. But yeah, first and foremost, we have Mizu. Funny enough, I mentioned it last time when mentioning again the origin of Izumi. Because of Ideru, the verb Ideru, to come out, but yeah, also simply to go, to come. Actually not used on its own nowadays, but yeah, used in some expressions as we've seen. Izumi literally water that comes out. Yeah, so spring. But yeah, here we have actually Mizu, which is the full form of water, the one used on its own nowadays. Should be unaccented. I'll quickly check, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the case. Yeah, unaccented. I think I mentioned, well, I mentioned also when I explained that Izumi in the Kirby's Adventure series, because we studied the kanji. But yeah, Mizu on its own means water, especially cool or cold, because there's a word for hot water, a different word, which is yu, accented, that one. And yeah, that's the one for hot water. But yeah, this one for water in general, and especially cool or cold. Then we have the possessive particle no. Then we have Machi, again, town. also unaccented. As a reminder, by the way, actually no, Machi is accent on the last syllable, sorry. Yeah, I checked now, it's accent on the last syllable, Machi. Yeah, the town of water, the water town. And yeah, then we have the name Saria, and so Saria, and yeah, it's actually then in Ocarina of Time, or at this point let's explicitly mention it, but we'll see it also when we eventually play it. Yeah, all the names of these, not sure if all of them, now I'm forgetting, but yeah. So far we have seen all these names of towns became names of important characters in that game. Important NPCs. Yeah, so we have the water city, water town, Saria. So yeah, funny enough, considering that, but yeah, that's because of course this game came first, and then yeah, they didn't pay attention to keep. They didn't call Ruto Saria, to keep it related to water. But yeah. So yeah, we have this town. I'd say it makes more sense for us to take our usual break now. We'll be back in around 5 minutes as usual, so that when we are back, we can start going around the town, and yeah, without splitting it between the break. But yeah, so let's say see you in around 5 minutes. And we are back. And yeah, we can continue. And actually go around the water town, Saria, as again the sign says here. Yeah, here we have the usual woman that says, I don't know, Shiranai wa. First, let's talk to this man. And yeah, this man says, Machi ni Ganon no Ichimi ga magire kondoru. And yeah, let's go in order. First and foremost, we have again Machi. And by the way, in this case, we actually would hear the accent, it being accented on the last syllable because we had the particle ni. So, Machi ni. So, low, high, low. Then because we had the particle ni, which means in this case, the locative particle, and so in at with verbs of staying. Technically, there's a different verb here, but yeah, it has a meaning of staying in a sense, as we see soon enough. But yeah, of course, also considering that noun only makes sense at the town, in the town. Yeah. Then we have Ganon, of course, the name of our antagonist, Ganon. Reminder that, of course, at the time only Ganon existed, not yet Ganondorf. And by the way, since we won't see the game over screen because we want to avoid it at all costs, there you can see Ganon in its form. I wonder if also in the Japanese version it says the return of Ganon in English, or it's actually in Japanese. I might check it and potentially show it, but not in game, of course, because of that. But yeah, Ganon, as mentioned, so the proper name. Then we have no, again, the possessive particle. Then we have this word, which, despite being technically we have ichi, and then it goes to the next line, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it would be ichimi. Ga is most likely the subject particle. Ichimi mi is a compound verb, a compound noun. Well, ichi, first and foremost, is the usual number, in this case, number 1, the Chinese pronunciation. So yeah, as you might guess, unless it's one of those, we have sometimes words comprised of 2 kanji that have a mix of Chinese and strictly Japanese, or the other way around, strictly Japanese and Chinese pronunciations. But yeah, more often than not, we have strictly Japanese words combined with strictly Japanese words, and Chinese ones, Chinese readings with Chinese readings. And in this case, of course, we would get again our usual Chinese compound, technically. Actually, yes. Ichimi, by the way, is actually accented on the chi, so be careful, it's an exception compared to most Chinese compounds, which we have seen are usually unaccented. not as often, but still the second most common accent is on the first syllable. But yeah, sometimes they have different ones in the middle of the word. And yeah, like in our case here, itzy, me. Actually, I think it might not be that strange because of, as you see, as I mentioned, this is the number 1. It might be considered originally, not nowadays, a numeral plus counter combination, and yeah, in that case we've actually seen the accent being before the counter itself often, not always unfortunately, and the rules aren't easy in that case, but oh well, yeah, but that's a typical spot, so yeah, actually in that sense it would make sense to have the accent there for this. But yeah, let's go in order again. We have ichi, the number 1. Then we have this mi, which, well, it's Japanese, strictly Japanese pronunciation is aji, which on its own, unaccented by the way, means flavor, taste. By extension, it becomes also charm, appeal, other extended meanings. But yeah, here in this case we have the Chinese pronunciation, mi. Technically, mi used could have used this kanji, but it's actually unrelated. Is a suffix used for grammar, but we'll see it when the time comes. But yeah, in this case it's simply a Chinese reading of this kanji. Yeah, so still the fundamental meaning is flavor, taste. So the meaning actually becomes, well, technically there is the literal meaning, 1 flavor, 1 charm, also 1 ingredient in traditional Chinese medicine, by extension. Yeah, from one flavor, 1 charm. And yeah, also considering those, then you can see why it most likely is originally a numeral plus counter combination. But the meaning that it has here, it's clan, partisans, conspirators, gang, ring, crew. But yeah, if you think about it, it makes sense because they're people of the quote-unquote same 1 flavor is an you can see, you could describe the members of a clan or a gang and so on as such, yeah. And so yeah, it's an extended meaning, but yeah, it's the one that used here. And yeah, so Ganons, gang, you could say, as in, of course, we would use usually the terms minions and so on, even though there are actually words for that specifically. But yeah, here we have clan and so on, partisans and so on, conspirators and so on. And yeah, so then after that we have the subject particle ga, as mentioned. And then we have a verb, magire kondoru, in this case. It would be actually magire komu, a compound verb. I'm not sure if I find it as is in the dictionary. And yeah, actually it's present. As you might have guessed from the context, Ganon, minions, let's say it like that to make it Ganon's clan, partisans, or however you want to call them, in the city, in the town, sorry, better town for Machi, in the town, and yeah, so the meaning of this verb, the compound verb is, well, literally to disappear into, to slip into, to be lost in, by extension then. But yeah, in this case, to be mixed up with, yeah, so they, we could say in other words also in English, infiltrating. But yeah, technically, to be mixed up with is the more correct meaning, not only considering the, this is the term in Japanese, but also how they're doing this, as we'll see, potentially see soon enough. But yeah, let's analyze the compound verb as usual. We have first and foremost magire from magireru, accented on its own. And yeah, this is the one that means also on its own to disappear into, to be lost in, to slip into, to get mixed in among. Also some extended meanings, but yeah, let's focus on this one. It's the, another example is to do something under the cover of confusion and so on. To be almost indistinguishable, to be confusingly similar, but yeah, the fundamental meaning would be literally to disappear into, to be lost into, slip into, and so then to get mixed in among. It's a verb, so we can drop the ru to make the continuative form. Can be used also as usual as the corresponding noun. So actually in this case, as in confusion, complications, yeah, often as in confusion. Yeah, you can see why, because of that. The mixed in among. But yeah, in this case, simply because we want to make a compound verb and to add the second part, which is komu. We have seen it on its own before in previous series. It means it has several meanings. On its own, to be crowded, to be packed, and so on. Also by extension to be complex, to be intricate. But you'll often see it used as a suffix, or better, as the second part of compound verbs. The fundamental meaning is to go into, to go in, to put into. And yeah, honestly, lucky enough, in this case, it's that one. As we mentioned, to disappear into, to be lost in, other ones, just to mention them again, are to become completely, to do thoroughly, to do sufficiently, also to remain silent, seated, and so on, to stay like those ways. But yeah, in our case, it's simply to add the meaning into, to further specify, we could say, considering the meanings of magireru on its own, further specify the meaning into. And yeah, that's why we then get the meaning for magire komu, luckily also accented, like komu on its own. We've seen that, unfortunately, not always that's the case, but yeah, in this one it is. And yeah, so we get that meaning. Komu, and so also magire komu, is a U-verb codant verb. So to make that a form, we can't see it clearly here because of a contraction, but we want to make that a form. We have to follow the rules. It's in mu, so it becomes de. Again, most likely, first and foremost, the continuative form, so u into I, so mu into mi. Then they fell, and so only m remained, which then simply became n, because m on its own isn't present in Japanese. We have n, the nasal mora, which can also be pronounced in certain conditions as m. And then we have actually te, not as te, but as de. That's because, as I mentioned before, in classical Japanese, voiced consonants were actually prenasalized. So that was actually nde. And yeah, that's why we then nowadays we would write nde because of that, for these de forms. After that, the form which is required because we would then add oru, the verb which means to be, as in to exist, of animate things, and so people and animals. The other more common form of that, to be as in to exist for animate, for people and animals, is iru, unaccented, unlike oru, which is accented. The one for inanimate things, and so objects and also abstract concepts, is aru. But yeah, in this case we actually use it. And by the way, the difference between oru and iru is the most common one. Oru is its humble form, but the meaning doesn't change, and also doesn't change this usage. When we use these verbs iru and oru after the form of a verb, we use them as auxiliary verbs with the meanings to be doing, or to have, add, to be add. And so actually either a continuing action or a continuing state. In this case, technically, a continuing state it would be better. You could say technically also a continuing action, but yeah, no. Better a continuing state, I'd say in this case. Have. In that sense, it's better in English to adapt it as in to have infiltrated the city. Sorry, again with this city, with the town. I want to further specify that town better, because technically for city we have other words. Yeah, honestly, these aren't particularly big anyway, so yeah, better town. Also considering that. But yeah, so, yeah, and last but not least, the contraction I mentioned. De oru would be, and yeah, so then it becomes doru, contracted, de oru, doru. Shorter and so faster to say, of course. And yeah, so, and yeah, so we can, the translation is the clan, the partisans, the conspirators of Ganon, are mixed up. Well, yeah, in English I'd say again it's better to use the verb infiltrate to make it easier for us, and yeah, so have infiltrated and use, so as a continuing state, the town. Well, into better, again, as we mentioned, for Magigre Komu. And so, yeah, you can see why we have that knee above for the town. So, yeah, actually, more than a proper knee used because of the verb of staying. Yeah, in this case, it's literally because it's into. One of the fundamental meanings of ni is to. And yeah, so this NPC is warning us about these infiltrated enemies, and we'll see soon enough in what sense. Yeah, we have this other, the usual lady that says simply hello, konnichiwa. Funny enough, written with an actual wa instead of the ha, as you usually should write it as. But we have seen that before. Okay, we have this one who came out of this house. Let's quickly check. Yeah, no, this is the. Okay, yeah, and now we have seen actually. It was a Shiranaiwa lady, but yeah, it was actually a monster, and yeah, that's what the man meant. Yeah, there are some NPCs, the random ones, disguising as there are actually monsters in disguise. Yeah, let's talk to this lady. And yeah. Luckily, we didn't do, in this case, what we could have done before speaking to her, and so we get this dialogue. Kagami o nakushita wa. Technically, it ends there, but let's read already the following part. Shikushiku. First and foremost, we have Kagami. Which means mirror. The accent, I think, on the last syllable, yes, it is. Let me quickly check, because I can tell you also the origin of this word, potentially. I'm checking Wiktionary. Okay, yeah. Found it. And yeah, actually, it's technically pretty easy, but there's a little change that makes it less clear. It's technically a compound noun from kage, accented on the first syllable on its own, which means shadow, but also silhouette, figure, shape. Fundamental meaning nowadays usually shadow, but yeah, also it has also those other meanings, silhouette, figure, shape, and yeah, in this case, better figure, let's say. And then actually, wherever it changed into kaga, a combining form of kage. I think we have seen at least one of these terms, or at least I think I mentioned them. Well, we have seen it. Yeah, I think I mentioned it because we studied the kanji for 3. Usually ki, accented on its own, but also that one has a combining form ko, which is used in compounds, while nowadays you simply use it as key. Yeah, for example, in the word Konoha, I want to quickly check its accent of Konoha. Ha is the word for leaf, technically on its own, also unaccented. But yeah, usually nowadays to say leaf, you'd say, well, there are actually other words, also ha on its own, but yeah, also Konoha exists. You might have heard it in Naruto, of course. And yeah, that ko is actually the one for ki. And yeah, it's used in this case because technically it's the combining form as mentioned of ki. By the way, Konoha accent on the first syllable. But yeah, so the combining form of kage, so kaga, and then we have this mi, which is actually simply the continuative form of the verb miru again, and so the corresponding noun seeing, and so yeah, seeing figure. And yeah, so you can see why from seeing figure, silhouette, and so on, literally also shadow, but yeah, here in this case better figure and so on, you get the meaning mirror, because yeah, a mirror is something you see your figure you see your figure in the mirror. And yeah, so that's the origin. Yeah, by the way, nowadays it's written with a single kanji, which is the kanji in that in Chinese means mirror. But yeah, uses a single kanji, but yeah, originally the strictly Japanese word, a strictly Japanese reading of the kanji, is actually a compound noun. We've seen it before also for Izumi. Again. Yeah, so we have mirror, then we have the object particle o. Sorry. Okay, yeah. We have the object particle o. Then we have nakushita, which is from nakusu, a verb which means to lose, also to get rid of, to eliminate, to remove, to eradicate, to abolish. But yeah, actually, while nowadays again uses technically a single kanji, while more often than not it's actually written using kana alone nowadays. You might see it with the kanji. There are two of them used, but it doesn't change. But yeah, the origin is actually from nai, the adjective which means non-existent. Then we change into it's a e adjective, so we can drop the e and add ku to make the adverbial form. Adverbial form in this case required because after that we have su, which is actually another form, a classical form of the verb suru, to do. In this case, in the sense to make into, well, to make as in to change, to make something implied non-existent. So yeah, we have the adverbial form used with the verb suru. Because of that. we have seen actually these usages of an adverbial form of the adjective, also with ni for na adjectives and so on, with the verb suru, with this meaning and other extended ones. Yeah, literally, so it comes from that, and yeah, so literally to make something non-existent, to make something into nothing, we could say. And yeah, so because of that, you can see why it nowadays means to lose something, or even better, or to get rid of. But yeah, actually, nakusu, unaccented, despite nai on its own actually being accented, so be careful. But yeah, most likely the origin is that anyway. Notice, by the way, also the barely heard, if at all, the one for ku, because it's between unvoiced consonants. So nakusu instead of nakusu. It's a verb, golden verb. Nowadays, despite most likely coming from suru. So to make that form, like in this case, we have to follow the rules, but luckily this is one we simply changed, make the continuative form, we change the u into i, and then add ta. So nakusta, as we can see here, nakusta. Technically also the i would be barely heard, if at all, because it's also between unvoiced consonants, but you usually don't have two unvoiced consonants one after the other, and that's same most in this case. Well, we can actually quickly check it, maybe. I have doubts though. Yeah, no, because I was thinking about checking out in the physical dictionary, but unfortunately I doubt there is that specific case, and it's a conjugated form, so yeah. My guess would be keep the barely heard, if at all, although even the she could be possible, so I'm thinking about what I've heard, but yeah, unfortunately can't tell you exactly. But yeah, regardless, it's data form, and so yeah, in this case simply as used as its usual usage, so the past form of the verb in plain speech. Last but not least, we have the final sentence particle wa. We have seen a female term or language, emotion, indicates emotion or admiration. Also used actually in Kansai dialect, and not in that way. A female term or language indicates simply emphasis there, but yeah, in this case clearly female term or language, it's a lady that's speaking, a woman, and yeah, so emotion, I'd say in this case, because as we've seen, the meaning is I have lost the mirror, my mirror, my implied, we could say. And last but not least, what we read, even though it's technically the sentence would end after nakustawa, but yeah, after that we simply have shiku shiku, which is an adverb technically, actually, yet again, as you might guess, also because of the repetition, it's actually an onomatopoeia. Which its most common meaning is weeping, sobbing, softly crying. There are other onomatopoeias for crying, but yeah, this is one technically softly crying. Yeah, so weeping, sobbing. We could say sob. It also has another meaning, which is with a prolonged dull pain, have a griping pain. Yeah, more often than not you see it as in the crying, softly crying. By the way, its accent is on the ku, on the first ku, shiku, shiku. And yeah, actually most likely that's because usually the accent on onomatopoeias, there are some exceptions, is on the first syllable, or even better, the first mora. So it would be on the first shi. But since the first shi is most likely, and the e is barely heard if or not at all, and often, more often than not, there are some that keep the accent there, but yeah, more often than not, they move it, they don't keep it on syllables with such vowels, and they move it to the closest one, which in our case would be ku. So yeah, we can actually explain the difference in accent compared to the usual one, simply because it applies the rules. So yeah, the she barely heard if at all, both ones, let's say, since it's actually a repetition. And so shku shku, shku shku. And yeah, so low, high, low, low, as for the accent. And yeah, so simply we have the sob that she's crying because softly. Makes sense as it's appropriate for... and yeah, she's crying because she lost her mirror. And yeah, so we actually will have to find it. And funny enough, as we'll see, I think it's actually in this very town. Yeah, good thing we didn't find it, so this time we could check the dialogue. And yeah, honestly, it wasn't, there wasn't a detour, a major detour involved, so yeah, it was worth doing. Yeah, I should actually stop talking to these random NPCs, because then enemies start showing up here, and not the best. Oh boy, yeah, actually spoke to the other one by accident while trying to defeat the previous enemy. Yeah, so let's... I'm not sure why this enemy doesn't die, so actually let's go back. And let's avoid triggering it. Honestly, not sure what was going on. Might have been bugged. Yeah, so... Okay, let's continue. Yeah, we have another part of the town. We have a house here. And yeah, actually this one should be... apparently there isn't anything here. But if we crouch and use the button, the usual B button, the attack button, yeah, actually we have something. This writing shows up. Teiburu no shita de kagami o mitsuketa zo, mitsuketa zo. And yeah, as you have heard while I was reading, sorry about the mistake. Yeah, we found the mirror already by doing this. Yeah, let's translate it and explain as usual. First and foremost, we have teburu. So by the way, this is technically a table, and so the ones next to it are chairs. In Japanese, chairs are called isu. I think unaccented, but we check. It's a Chinese compound. Yeah, unaccented. While here we simply have teburu from English, table. Notice, well, the long e, but it makes sense since in English it would be table with a, but yeah, in Japanese it became simply long e, also considering that what used to be pronounced e in Japanese now usually are pronounced as long e. Some still pronounce them as a, but yeah, more often than not as long e, even those, so yeah. For the English word, they straight up changed it into long e. Then we have the additional u for bu, of course, because we don't have b on its own in Japanese. And last but not least, ru. Yeah, another additional u at the end for the same reason, but also ru because Japanese doesn't have the sound L. And so yeah, it becomes the closest one, which is the sound R. The Japanese R, which is, yeah, it's closer. It's the closest sound. And yeah, so we have teburu. Let's quickly check the accent, but I think it should be the same as in English. Actually, it isn't, so good thing we checked. Yeah, it's another one of those words which are actually unaccented, those English words which in Japanese become unaccented, so be careful. Teburu. My guess, considering the ones we have seen, often they are some pretty common words. Maybe because they came to Japanese earlier. This is just my guess, but yeah. Anyway, be careful. This one is unaccented. Then we have the possessive particle no. So technically, literally off the table, but we'll see. It's not exactly that, at least in translation. Because after that we have sta. Sta means bottom. Well, there's also another sta. I think we studied actually both kanji. I'm forgetting the one for that interests us, but I think so. The other one for sure, because of the kanji we had to study for these previous titles. Yeah, it's not the one which is on its own accent on the last syllable, which means tongue. Yeah, no, this one is the unaccented one, which means below, down, under, bottom, in our case better. But yeah, the accent can help, but yeah, also the context, of course, as usual. And yeah, so the bottom of the table, or better, we could say in English, down the table, below the table. So yeah, we have the possessive particle simply to connect the noun, the first noun, to the direction, the noun which means, which points out the direction, beneath the table, and so on. And yeah, by the way, after sta we have the particle de, which is the in at in this case. So yeah, the occasion particle. the one used with most verbs. With the locative ones, we use ni instead, but yeah, with all the other ones, we use de. Like in this case, we'll see why in a second. After that, we have kagami again. So yeah, our usual mirror. Okay. After that, we have the particle, the object particle O. Last but not least, we have the verb mitsuketa from mitsukeru. Actually, if I recall correctly, unaccented, despite, as we'll see, it's a compound verb. And tsukeru, as we have seen before, on its own is accented, and also miru, so be careful. Yeah, it's an accented. Mitsukeru means to find, to discover. The closest translation to the original meaning is, to its structure is to come across, because yeah, it comes from miru, again to see, to look at, to watch. Then we have tsukeru. Notice again the U barely heard if at all. Tsukeru means to attach, to join, to connect, to add, and so on. Also to stick, to glue, to fasten, and so on. Yeah, there are several extended meanings, but yeah, the fundamental one is to attach. In this case, I'd say better to add, technically, but that's to add seeing. And so yeah, because of that, it means to find, to discover, to come across, because yeah, you come across something and see it, and yeah, so you find it, discover it. Yeah, so this is the meaning of the verb. It's a verb, it's a verb, so we can drop the ru and add ta to make the ta form, and so yeah, the past form of the verb in plain speech. Last but not least, we have the final sentence particle, so we've seen it before, it's a male term or language, adds force or indicates command. I'd say adds force also simply in the sense of emphasis, we could say, but yeah, it's a male term or language. Yeah, so the meaning is simply you have found, or you found, simple past also. We could say at this point the mirror, but yeah, technically better in this context, if we hadn't talked to the lady. A mirror under the table, literally at the bottom of the table or beneath the table, and so on, but yeah. So yeah, we found the mirror. We'll actually go immediately to the lady then and give her the mirror back. Yeah, she comes out again. And yeah, she says here, first and foremost, ma, again, which we have seen last time. It's, well, technically an adverb. I could say, I would say also an exclamation. And yeah, in that sense, there are other usages. Yeah, actually, in this case, I'd say an exclamation. In the other usages, an adverb. This one is a female term or language as an exclamation. Should be accented on the first syllable, as well, accented, so yeah, on the syllable, and so on the first mora, ma, because then we have a long vowel. And yeah, it means oh dear, oh my, wow, and so on. Of course, because then she says, watashi no kagami, and yeah, it actually stops there, I think, because yeah, literally she says first and foremost watashi with I mentioned it before, even though we saw a different term. But yeah, this one is actually watashi, the most common first person pronoun, singular pronoun, I. Then the possessive particle, so of me, my, and then of course again kagami, my mirror. And yeah, I think it stops there. Implied, yeah, she, as you show her, and yeah, wow, my mirror, as in, of course, you found it. Or here's my mirror because you found it. Yeah. After that, she says, we've already read it, but read it again. Utsimade, tsuite kite. First and foremost, we have utsi. Mentioned before it, we have seen it before. There's another uchi, unaccented. Both are unaccented, and so yeah, most likely related also considering that. Another one which means inside, within, also extended meanings from that, while, during, among. Yeah, this one is actually the one which means one's house, one's home, also by extension one's family, one's household. Yeah, the fundamental meaning, one's house, one's home. Not just a house, because that for that we use the term ye, accent on the last syllable. That one uchi is unaccented again. That one means simply house, and then also by extension family, household. Yeah, this is one's house, one's home. Then we have the particle made, which means until, up to, or yeah, that of course in a temporal sense, but yeah, also in a physical, well, allocative sense, to a place, also to a person, as in going towards a person, I think. As far as technically, that's an even better meaning, because yeah, we have that's the peculiarity of made technically. By the way, while with accented words, I am pretty sure that it would be simply the word is accented and then made is low. But when the word is actually unaccented, like actually in our case, I think then made is accented, and it's accented on the ma. It doesn't show it here, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. I'll quickly check in the physical dictionary just to be completely sure. I got the physical dictionary. Let's check in our rule part. Yeah, there are some particles, especially these longer ones, that act like that. or combined particles also. But yeah, let's quickly check just to be sure. Give me just a second to find the table in question. I know where that it's around here, but I don't know exactly the spot. Let me quickly... Okay, no, these are the ones for that. Well, maybe I can find it quicker, more quickly in the actual dictionary part that I think it's actually also there. Made. Yeah, there it is. And yeah, it actually has all those accents. And yeah, it depends on the previous word, on the previous noun. And yeah, let's actually find it here then. And yeah, I actually found it. And yeah, made is one of those that when the word is accented, then we simply keep the accent of the word. But when the word is unaccented, then these particles are accented on the first syllable, better, first mora. And yeah, so in our case, ma on the ma. Yeah, there are several ones. Long particles. So yeah, with two moras. Also compound ones. But yeah, so we have this one made. So in our case, yeah, we uchi made. So low, high, high, and then low, because yeah, the accent is on ma, and so it's high up to that point. Also reminded of the rule that the first and second syllable always have to be different in pitch. So if the first one is high, so actually when it's accented, then the second one is low, as regular. But when the second one is high, then the first one has to be low. So yeah, low, high, high, and then low for the and so yeah, utsimade. As far as technically to my house. And then we have the verb. Well, actually two verbs technically. First and foremost, tsuite. I quickly search because I think I actually find it. Yeah, I can find it technically as ready as is as tsuite kuru, because it's a peculiar expression. But yeah, literally it comes from tsuku, which is actually the intransitive form of tsukeru, which we have already seen. Yeah, the meanings are the same, but of course in the intransitive, so to be attached, to be connected, and so on. It's a verb, golden verb, so we have to follow the rules to make that a form. It's in ku, so it becomes ite. Again, most likely because it was the continuative form first, so u into i, tsuki. And then the k fell, and so only the i remained, so tsuite. And yeah, so we have technically the form of tsuku. And then after that, because we have that form, because we had the verb kuru. Kuru, to come, already mentioned because unfortunately it's one of the two completely irregular verbs. And yeah, after the form of verbs, we can add these verbs of movement, usually iku, to go, and kuru, to come. To show, more often than not, there are other usages, the direction in which an action happens, but you might remember, as we have seen before, in this very series, so actually I think maybe last time or the previous one, in such a case, technically, Link from here would go in Japanese. So we would use tsuite iku, or yuku if you it's the other pronunciation, but the meaning doesn't change. And yeah, that's actually because this tsuite kuru is used technically as an expression on its own, which means to follow, to come along with one, to accompany. And yeah, literally come by sticking to that person, to the speaker, of course, usually. Yeah, in that sense, technically, Link is coming towards the woman, and then they go together to the house. Yeah, in this case, what matters first and foremost is that Link comes along with the woman, and so comes towards the woman, technically. And yeah, that's why we have Kuru instead of what you might have expected, Iku. But yeah, technically, I'm pretty sure that... and by the way, even though the accent isn't mentioned here, technically you should simply keep the accents of the verbs on their own. Tsuku and Kuru are both accented. I'd say if you... the Kuru might not be accented in this case if it's considered as a full expression, and the Tsuku at first is the one that you'd keep. In the case of Tsuite Iku, which should also exist, and I'm pretty sure technically same meaning, but there's the movement from the point of the speaker, in this case, and go elsewhere. But yeah, same meaning, to accompany, to follow, to keep up with. And yeah, in that case, Iku is an accent, so yeah, only Tsuku in the Tsuite form, in Tete form, is accented, so yeah, I'd say also in this case, keep the accent of Tsuku first and foremost. Yeah, we have, I can quickly actually check it in the physical dictionary since I've taken it, if it's present. I have some doubts in this case. Yeah, no, it isn't present, yeah, because it's actually simply an expression that comes from that. Ohayo gozaimasu. Yeah, glad that you enjoy, you look forward to hearing some English in the morning by watching my stream. Yeah, of course, since you speak Japanese, so you don't have to learn it. But yeah, it's nice to see also Japanese people watching. And yeah. So yeah, with that, we have seen this, and yeah, again, the full translation is, yeah, wow at first, the exclamation, and yeah, then we've seen my mirror, and yeah, this part is follow me, and so come towards me implied with that kite to my house. And yeah, so we'll follow her. And yeah, we'll enter. And yeah, the woman is actually not present again. And yeah, we have another. We can go here. We have another old man, a magician. And yeah. We got another spell, as you might have guessed, and yeah, took the screenshot, so we'll quickly check it. And yeah, this magician, this old man says, Raifu Fukatsu no Mahou Sasuke yo. First and foremost, we have Raifu, from English, life. Yeah, quite easy. Notice again the Ra, because of course L doesn't exist in Japanese, so it becomes R, the Japanese R, which is the closest sound. Accented, just like in English, so Raifu. Notice also the additional E at the end, because of course F on its own doesn't exist. Then we have Fukatsu, a Chinese compound, which means revival, restoration, return, come back. Also, by extension, resurrection, rebirth, better resurrection. Yeah, because literally it would mean come back to life, well, restore to life, with the kanji. Yeah, by the way, it's a Chinese compound as mentioned, so unaccented as usual. But yeah, in our case, restoration, better restoration, life restoration, we should say. Then we have the possessive particle no. We have Mahou, as usual, the Chinese compound, which means magic, closer to the Japanese structure witchcraft, but yeah, in our case, spell, as he's teaching us an individual spell. Then we have the object particle O. And last but not least, we have the verb Sasuke yo, from Sasukeru, which means to grant, to give, to confer, to award. Technically, by extension, also to teach, to instruct, but yeah, there are, as we have seen, actually, there are other verbs for to teach, to instruct, so it's simply by extension, but yeah, the fundamental meaning is to grant, and then by extension to grant knowledge. But yeah, to grant, to give, to confer, but yeah, better to grant in our case. It's a verb, it's done verb, so we can drop the ru to add yo, u, so long yo, and so make the volitional form. Here not in its most common meaning, which is let's, but yeah, in the other one, I will, in the sense that the person is willing to do an action, is doing an action on their own will. And yeah, so the meaning here is I'll grant you implied, of course, the life restoration spell. The spell of life restoration, we can also say. Yeah, so we can go back to the game. And yeah, we got the life spell, so yeah, really nice. Not sure if I can actually show it because I am kind of low on magic, as you can see. Well, not exactly low, but I might not have enough, and yeah. Anyway, I wouldn't use it right now. Let's continue. Yeah, this is the house we have already checked out. Then we have technically a cemetery here, as you can see, with the crosses. Let's technically we have don't have much more time, but we might we'll try to still check what people say here. Yeah, first and foremost we have these. I think we have seen it before, so I'll simply translate it. Literally it says, well, it would be please. We have the honorific form Oyuki of to go, Yuku, Iku. So yeah, implied an asai, so yeah, please go. But yeah, before it we have Yasunde, that the form of Yasumu, to rest, so yeah, rest and go. So yeah, please rest and go. So yeah, this is to here, yeah, even more of a reason not to. Well, actually this one is the one that restores magic, and yeah, won't fully translate it again, yeah, we have seen this before. Technically I can actually show quickly the life spell then. Yeah, by using it, yeah, you can see that I've consumed a lot of most of my magic by doing that, so we'll actually heal it again here with the old woman. But yeah, quite useful to heal when needed. And yeah, we've healed again. Let's enter this house. And yeah, we actually have this that looks like an enemy, and technically is, but actually doesn't attack us, I think, pretty sure. And yeah, by talking to it says goo goo. So yeah, simply don't think I'll find it even in the dictionary, but yeah, well, there are other goo, but yeah, in this case it's simply the sound that this slime-like enemy makes. This, so yeah, goo. Most likely from literally goo, from English goo. Yeah, so only says that, and yeah, lucky enough doesn't hit us. We have this woman. Wouldn't be surprised if yeah, this is the one that heals you. Oops. Yeah, didn't show it, but yeah, I quickly do it again just to show on screen the writing, what she says, even though I have we've already seen it. And yeah, we'll do that. I try to speak to this man, and yeah, this is the one hurrying. Actually, another enemy, so let's ignore it. Let's move on to the next screen. Enter this house, and we have a different looking NPC. So yeah, let's talk to him. And yeah, this is actually the man Bug was speaking of, was referring to. And yeah, first and foremost, he says, Bagu no shiriai ka. First and foremost, we have Bagu, again, Bug, the name of the NPC, we've seen previously in this episode. Then we have the possessive particle no, and then we have shiriai, technically a noun, a compound noun, actually from a compound verb. Shiriao means to get to know each other, literally. Okay. So by extension, it becomes to make acquaintance. Yeah, literal. To get to know each other. Yeah, to make acquaintance means to get to know each other. Yeah, the literal form here is in Japanese is to get to know each other, because we have shiru, which we have seen before because of the shiranai woman, means to know, to learn. We could say also to get to know, like in our case. Yeah, shiru, unaccented. It's a verb, code verb, despite being in iru, so be careful. And yes, so we can change the u into i to make the continuative form. In this case, required to attach the second part of the compound, which is au, a verb which on its own, accented, means to come together, to merge, to unite, to meet, but to meet more as in those senses, because as we have seen, au, which actually means to meet, is as in to meet a person, uses a different kanji. Not that we can see it here since it's in katakana, but yeah. By extension also to fit, to match, to suit. But when used as an auxiliary verb, actually as the second part of compound verbs, it means to do the action of the verb each other, to do the action of the verb together. And yeah, that's why we get this meaning, to get to know each other. And so we have shiriao, luckily also accented like au, au and also shiriao are u verb code verbs, so we can change the u into i to make the corresponding the continuative form shiriai. We check its accent just to be completely sure if it actually follows the rule or it changes. But yeah, the meaning is acquaintance, the corresponding noun, and so actually acquaintance. Actually, yeah, it's unaccented, so be careful despite the shiriao being accented as mentioned. Last but not least, we have ka, the interrogative, the final sentence interrogative particle, used to make actual questions. If we had a period also in Japanese, or even the question mark, just like in English, but it's not required. But yeah, here we have an exclamation mark. Yeah, of course it's not in the sense of an actual question, but more in the sense, so you are an acquaintance of Bug. Literally could be you are an acquaintance of Bug, aren't you? Yeah, in the sense we have a ka at the end, an interrogative ka at the end. After that, he says, Sore nara hashi o kakete yarou. first and foremost, we have Sore, which is another word of the Kosado series. With re, it's the demonstrative pronoun, so that, and nothing else after it, unaccented, as usual for this. After this, we actually have, though, Nara. We've seen it with verbs as one of the forms of the conditional. If, or better, in case. Technically, Nara is accented on the first syllable, is the conditional form of the classical copular Nari. Nowadays, not used on its own. It's the same one seen also in Na for Na adjectives. Yeah, we have this Ra because it's how you made the conditional form by adding them Ba in classical Japanese. But yeah, literally, if that is the case, and so yeah, usually Nare means in case also with verbs. And yeah, also used by extension, like as for on the topic of, especially that with nouns. And yeah, so with the Sore before it, so Sore unaccented, Nara usually accent on the first syllable, so it should be, yeah, we have the accent of Nara, Sore Nara. And yeah, so it literally means if that's the case. If so, that being the case, it's a conjunction. I consider it a conjunction, even though literally it's a conditional form. Then we have Hashi. There are several Hashi, but this one, also considering the context that we have seen before, is the one accented on the last syllable, Hashi. And so, in this case, we can actually hear it ha, shi, or low, high, low, which means bridge. Yeah. Also, considering the context, also helps. Yeah, after that, we have the opposite particle o. Then we have the verb kakete and also yaro. But yeah, first and foremost, the verb kakete from kakeru. Technically, as we have seen before in previous series, I think not this one, there's also kakeru, which means to hang up, and several extended meanings. But yeah, in this case, most likely there's also another one, but let's ignore it for now. Actually, more than one. Yeah, this one most likely is also considered the context, is the one that means to run. Well, actually, I think it's sorry. I was thinking another thing, but yeah, actually this one might be literally the one to hang up the transitive, because I think he's mentioning that he'll lower the bridge. And so yeah, I think it's in that sense that he's quote-unquote hanging it, well, not up, of course, in this case, because it can mean also in the sense of raise a flag usually, but yeah, I think it's simply in the sense of getting the bridge ready to be crossed. Yeah, so I think the verb would actually be kakeru, that one. It's a verb, it's done verb. And so, to make that a form, we simply drop the ru and add the form, which is required because then we add the verb yaro from yaru, unaccented, means to do. It's a colloquial form. Suru is the regular one. But also yaru has several other extended meanings. Since unfortunately most don't accent, Japanese accent is barely mentioned if explained elsewhere. Unfortunately, I have to check the dictionary because of that, because I don't know them that well, despite having studied Japanese for a while. For that precise reason, and in this on my channel, I try to actually be one of the few that actually mention it. In our case, the example made there, we have hashi, the first one, after the exclamation point, for those who still don't know. That one is the kanji for hashi, for bridge, which is the one we have here, accent on the last syllable. The other one, hashi, unaccented, means and, as in more like edge. I think, and for of a street edge, and so on. There's also another one with a different kanji, which is accented on the first syllable, but that one is for chopsticks. As I was mentioning, we have yaru, to do, here it's one of its extended meanings, and it's actually a verb of giving, to give, especially to someone of equal or lower status. It's a colloquial form, by the way, and also because of that, to some, especially to someone of equal or lower status. So after the form of a verb, it's an auxiliary verb in the sense of doing the favor of doing the action of the verb in te. Yaru is a verb godan verb, so we can change the u into ou to make the volitional form again in the sense I'm willing to, I will, as in I'm willing to do the action of this verb. It's my, so the translation is, if that's the case, I will do you the favor of lowering, literally hanging, but I think in that sense, the bridge, so in short, getting the bridge ready for you. And with that, if we go outside, and the bridge shows up. Actually, if we go here, it says the same thing, because actually I think that, if you leave the screen, then it would not be here, the bridge, so you have to talk to him also from this side. So we can actually continue here. Actually, we have the sign again, Mizuno Machi Saria, so the water town Saria, the name. Now we can actually leave the town. Let's wait after the loading screen. As you can see, we have left from the other side of the river. Now we'll actually save the game with the save state as usual. With that we'll close the game and the stream. We went quite quite longer than the usual ending hour, because and I should usually end thank you the Otsukare-sama that used in chat is what you say to someone after when they have done their job and so on. Yeah. So today we went from the town of Ruto to the town of Saria. We also met Bagu. We got a point bag. We got the life spell, quite a useful one, as we have seen. And after that, we crossed, thanks to having met Bagu, we were able to cross the bridge. And yes, so we arrived, and we got to the other side. And yes, so next time, which should be on Monday, yeah, it should be, unless plans change, but yeah, we should be able to play on Monday. We'll continue this series. Of course, on Sunday, unless plans change as usual, we'll play also a game mostly just for fun. I'm not completely sure which one yet. Yeah, so you will simply see it when I open the stream, as usual. Okay. See you next time.